Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Craig Button, we're just waiting on Craig, brought to you by the Waddling Dog Pub. Fall right around the corner, and that means the Waddling Dog is gearing up for another exciting season of sports and entertainment. Catch every Canucks, Lions, Whitecaps, Seahawks game on one of their 17 TVs. Countless reasons to come, sit, and stay at the Waddling Dog. We don't have Craig yet? Not yet. Let's recap what has happened today. It has been busy in the world of sports, in particular the world of hockey, the National Hockey League. Nathan MacKinnon has signed a contract extension with the Colorado Avalanche. He will become, as of next season, the highest paid player in the National Hockey League. 8 years, $12.6 million per season, as he'll jump over Connor McDavid, Artemi Panarin, Austin Matthews, and others. But those are the three that are that are at the top of the annual salary list on the National Hockey League right now. 3 NHL defensemen retired today, and they did so. At least the announcements were made. I got my notifications. Bing, bang, boom! Within 5-10 minutes, Keith Yandel, PK Subban, and the great Zdeno Chara. So 2 Norris Trophy winners in there in Subban and Chara. And we all know about Yandel and his Ironman streak. Have I got this right? Is Phil Kessel now?
Yeah, Kessel
is the next player likely or who could pass Yandel? He's the NHL's Ironman?
Yeah, it is. It is him.
If you could look that up, I'd appreciate that. Maybe Craig knows. Joined now by TSN Scouting Director Craig Button. How are you, sir?
I am good, Donnie. I think Phil Kessel's 6 games away from tying the record that Keith Yandel set last year. Although it's dubious because he played 1 shift in Chicago to keep the streak alive before being flown back to Arizona to be with his wife when they had their first child. So, dubious or not, I mean, bottom line is Phil has had a great record of continuous excellence in the league in 6 games he'll tie it, in 7 games he'll break it.
Craig, I'm sure you've heard the news. We just talked about it. Nathan MacKinnon will become the highest paid player in the National Hockey League. 8 years, 12.6 per. Do you understand those numbers?
I do, and I think there's a couple of different angles to this. Number one, I don't think anybody would disagree that Nathan MacKinnon, over the last 4 seasons and this coming season, because he's still on his original contract that he signed coming out of entry level, was significantly underpaid. So I think there's an understanding from the Colorado Avalanche that, hey, there's a little bit of a reward here. That's number one. Number two, maybe number one is Nathan MacKinnon's a superstar. So I don't think that when we start to see the numbers get to this level that we should be surprised. Number two, as I just mentioned. Number three, all indications is that the revenues in the National Hockey League are increasing and going up. So next year is the first year of this massive deal, this $100,800,000 deal. And, maybe the first year while they're still trying to go through the mechanics of the agreement that the players and the owners came to with respect to escrow and capping it. And if revenues are going to continue to increase as they've demonstrated over the last year and a half, then, when this contract gets into year 2 and through years 3, 4 to 8, and if revenues are going up, then the salary cap will go up. And certainly Nathan MacKinnon will be in a place where I don't think anybody will bat an eyelash. Number 4, there's no reason for me to believe that Nathan MacKinnon's not going to be a top player through the entirety of this contract. So to me, it screams to rewarding a player that's very unique and very valuable to your franchise. And I don't see any issues. What it will do is, next summer we'll be talking about Austin Matthews. We'll be talking about Connor McDavid in 2 years' time about what his contract will look like. And I would have to think that this just serves as a springboard for those 2 guys, but not those 2 players solely.
Craig, of interest to Vancouver hockey fans, Jake Virtanen signs a PTO in Edmonton. What's your best guess? Will he be able to resurrect his NHL career, which, let's be honest, has been disappointing to this point in Edmonton?
So what I would say, Donnie, right now is you got to look at Jake Virtanen for what he is, not for what he was when he was selected, and there was all this hope that he would score 40 goals. I mean, what I see Jake as at his very best is as a third-line player that can skate, that can be disruptive, that can add a real significant physical element to your lineup, and chip in. I think if Jake can chip in 15 goals, that's really good. And just accepting him for what he is. I mean, he's not going to be paid a big salary, probably would be on an NHL minimum or very close to it. And so what I see in terms of the Edmonton Oilers signing Jake Virtanen is a player that can round out the bottom group of their forwards and add an element that can be really valuable. And, I think when Jake says that he's learned a lot over the course of the last 18 months about himself and about how he has to carry himself, I think that the Edmonton Oilers have shown that, they're not averse to taking a chance on players. Evander Kane comes right to mind and, putting them in an environment where they can be successful. But if you're expecting Jake Virtanen to be a 25 goal scorer and a 30 goal scorer, I think you're just kidding yourself. Recognize him for what he is and then put him in those spots and ask him to do that. And if he gives you a little bit more, that'll be a bonus. But I think how I described him is exactly how he is.
Craig, let's talk Canucks. Training camps Friday in Whistler. Bo Horvat, final year of his deal, not done yet. You know what's happening here. It's a crazy hockey Canadian market, Craig. General feeling, he's asking for over $7 million. That's a feeling. You think he's a $7 million player, Craig?
Well, I mean, again, I just talked about the salary cap, right?
Yeah.
And I talked about, where it could be headed and whatnot. So, one of the most difficult things for managers and owners is to look at the scenario and try to, project it out over the number of years that you're looking at a contract. Listen to what Quinn Hughes said about Bo Horvat and how important he is to a team and what he means to a team. And he takes on all the different aspects within a game that are important to winning. And I think if you just look at the statistical numbers, you could make an argument that maybe 7's a little rich. But I think when you look at it overall and you consider what Bo Horvat brings to a team, I think it's pretty significant. So again, I talked about Nathan MacKinnon and over the duration of that contract, how I still think he'll be a top player. I feel the same way about Bo, because Bo's an exceptional skater, and there's no reason to think that that's going to fall off. I mean, him and Nathan MacKinnon are the same age. So, if he's going to be looking at a new contract and it's in the $7 million range, I think that what he brings to a team and what he adds to a team is really significant. So I think you have to value it, and, you can look at straight numbers, but, when you really understand what those guys bring to a team is when you don't have them anymore. And I don't think the Canucks want to find themselves in that spot.
Yeah, no kidding. So the Canucks are right now in the hunt, Craig, to land 26-year-old defensemen or younger on the right side. One of the names that has popped up here in Vancouver is your buddy Ethan Bear. There's interest, Craig. Your thoughts on the Canucks potentially landing Bear?
Here's my thoughts. Where were they on Nils Lundkvist?
Yeah,
Nils Lundkvist is a much better player than Ethan Bear.
Look at the price, Craig.
Pardon me?
Look at the price. A first-round pick and a fourth-round pick. The 3 out of the last 4 years in the city.
He was a first-round draft pick. Nils Lundkvist is a really good player. And to me, the Dallas Stars just made an excellent deal. The only reason he's not in New York is because you have Adam Fox, you have Jacob Trouba, and Braden Schneider really took massive
his
steps
spot.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, you think a first-round pick's a big price to play for a really good player, and I think Nils Lundkvist is a really good player on a really good contract. I think that's the player they should have been looking at. And you know what? You don't want to trade a first-round draft pick, but now you get a player that's 21 years of age who I feel is ready to come in and play and help your team. It is exactly what they need. Listen, I said this about Ethan Bear. Ethan Bear, if you want to corner the market on 6'7" defensemen, go and get him. That's what he is. He's never going to be anything more than that.
Okay, but hold on. Let me go back to the first-round pick. Craig, 3 out of the last 4 years in the city, they traded the first-round pick. You can't keep trading first-round picks. You can't keep doing it.
Wait a sec. You got JT Miller. Is that bad? Is that bad to have JT Miller?
No, a lot of people
I don't think it's too bad. Don't forget that they traded to get Bo Horvat, too. That was a pretty significant trade when they traded Corey Schneider. So they also went the other way in acquiring first-round draft picks. I don't care what they've done in 3 of the last 4 years. All I know is this. When I look at the Vancouver Canucks and I look at a right shot defenseman who's really good with the puck that can, in my view, clearly develop into a top 4 defenseman, and you have a massive hole on your right side in that exact regard, I'm sorry. I'm all in on Nils Lundkvist. I'm evaluating what it takes to get him, especially at 21 years of age. I think that the Dallas Stars made a terrific trade in acquiring Nils Lundkvist. And you look at Ryan Suter, Esa Lindell, obviously Miro Heiskanen on the blue line in Dallas. He comes in there and fits in nicely. I'll tell you what, Nils Lundkvist could have taken a lot of pressure off of Quinn Hughes and really helped this team be taking another step forward with a young player on a great contract.
And Craig, very, very quickly, 3 defensemen retire today. PK Subban, Keith Yandel, and Zdeno Chara. I told a story earlier in the show about the first time I saw Zdeno Chara. It was in New York, in the bowels in Uniondale there, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I thought it was some sort of publicity stunt. Just your thoughts on the first time you saw Zdeno Chara and where his career went from there.
Well, I'd seen Zdeno play a little bit internationally, very little. And he was a big, awkward guy, obviously. But I saw him playing for the Prince George Cougars. And the first time 96. I saw him play in the CHL, but I saw him play in the old Kelowna Arena. I mean, that was a bandbox. It was small. It was, and again, he was in the stages of development, you know, trying to find, call him a little bit of a gangly young man. I think he was a lot more than a little bit gangly. And I remember very clearly, the fans hooting and hollering at him. He ended up getting into a scrap, and he didn't fare all that well. But I'll tell you this, the next time I saw Zdeno Chara in a scrap, I think he sort of noticed that don't mess with me. Yeah. And I think that when you think about Zdeno Chara and you think about his career, he was that defenseman you didn't want to mess with. He was serious about winning. He was serious about being the very best he could be. And that translated into the teams he was on. Certain for me, absolute first ballot Hall of Famer in every regard.
Yeah. All-time great. Craig, thanks so much for this. Appreciate it.
Craig.
Okay, great. You guys have a great day.
Craig, quickly, is that a silk shirt?
Actually, I got to go do a couple of hits on TSN for our one big question for the 7 teams. We're gonna do every Canadian team. So that's gonna happen at 11:30 Pacific time when I go to tape. So I'm just kind of getting in my pregame attire.
Very nice shirt.
If we could get back to a cotton polyester blend for next week, we'd appreciate it, Craig. Thanks for this.
I like the polyester rayon there.
There you go.
Really kind of sticks to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig. Thanks. Depending on the time of year. You sit there before the show. Can I just say something here? Through the show, he's like, we should have a 3-hour show. We got too many guests. And you're bringing up, you're wasting time talking about his silk shirt.
You think people wear silk shirts every day of the week?
Well, no, but do you think people want to hear about that? Probably not.
Was it cream?
You were mesmerized. That whole interview, you were staring at it.
No, it was a nice shirt. I love that shirt. It's silk. Was it cream or white?
I'm going cream, sure.